Hey everyone, it's Nick from Nick's Crossing. I just got back from a local hobby shop and picked up a set of these guys right here. So here we go everyone, all aboard for a review. Alright guys, so I was on the way home from work and I stopped into D.E. Gettle Hobby, which is a fantastic little hobby shop in Shrewsbury, New Freedom area. And he's got all kinds of cool stuff. A lot of O-scale, new used, new old stock. A lot of HO stuff that just came in. Just tons and tons of trains everywhere in the shop. And it's just a really cool little store. He's got usually the coolest or most interesting pieces I've ever seen, and that's where I found this RDC set. And I went back to the O-scale section, and I saw this big yellow-orange box, and I was like, oh god, what's in this thing? And I read the description. So I read RDC Bud Car Set. So automatically I was very, very interested. And then I read New York Central RDC. I was like, oh shoot. But anyways, I kept on reading the description. Two-wheel fly motors, all metal wheels, DCRU electronic reverse, weighs more than 6 pounds. It's a 2-unit set, which I thought was cool. Operating metal couplers and Protosound. So I was automatically re-interested in it. And I asked David, can you run this thing to hear it and test it out or whatever? And he started it up. It did the ding-ding like all of the Protosound 1 locomotives do. Did the engine start up. And I was like, man, that is an RDC. And then I asked him, can you please hit the horn? And I was like getting flashbacks from Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern's RDCs. I was like, whoa, this thing sounds like an RDC. It looks like one. I need one. So for $279, I picked up this beautiful set of an RDC1, RDC2 from Rail King by MTH. So it's an MTH locomotive. And these things are so cool. I ran them all last night when I got home and everything. And I was running them up to like midnight. And the volume on these is super loud. So I ended up turning it down a little bit, which isn't really like me, but these engines are just so cool. Alright guys, so really quick, the Bud Car Company has a very vast history, going back, 100 years of history, from 1912 to around 2014, and if I'd sit here all day and talk about them, you guys would go to sleep, so I encourage you to look them up on your own, and even Chessie's like, move on with it, there you go. So, the Bud Car Company was started in 1912 by Mr. Edward G. Budd. He created the first all-steel automobile frame, which carried his company to the next level. Dodge ended up creating the full steel sedan after this innovation, which is pretty cool. Now, later on, the Bud Car Company would develop a way to weld stainless steel called shot weld. Now, this process would not compromise the metal in any way, shape, or form. Prevented delams, weak points, stress points, and also corrosion points. So then they started developing stuff like this right here. All stainless steel, all metal frame, all metal, and metal. No wood. It's a lot safer to build a metal car than wood because you have, tension stressing, also the accordion effect with wooden cars. So this kept the safety rates high, the passengers comfy, and everything nice and cool looking as well. So a lot of railroads requested Mr. Budd's cars, and they looked fantastic. They look a lot better than the the flat painted Bethlehem steel heavyweights, and they just look futuristic and luxurious. So a lot of railroads reached out to Mr. Budd, creating all kinds of really cool pieces like the El Capitan cars from Santa Fe, or the Zephyrs, or even the New York subway system, those beautiful shiny steel cars going through the tubes of the tunnels. So just a really cool company. Now, Mr. Budd's company also developed a ton of innovative products for the railroading industry, such as all stainless steel construction cars, steel frames, disc brakes. You also have double-decker cars, two-level cars, observation dome cars, gallery cars, stainless steel kitchen cars, stainless steel sleeper cars. Anything stainless steel, put Budd's name on it. And one of my favorite innovations from Mr. Budd's company are the cab cars and the Metroliners from Amtrak. On top of that, the Superliner. So lots of really cool innovations, all from the Bud Car Company. And a lot of his cars are still in use to this day. 30, 40 years later, I believe they stopped making passenger cars in 1987. So from the late 1930s to 1987, that's a pretty good span of work for passenger service. Alright guys, so the RDCs were developed by the Budd Car Company of Philadelphia starting in 1949 all the way to 1962. Now these cars were built primarily for commuter service. It was a lot cheaper to send out 2 of these cars right here than to send out a whole fleet of cars with an engine, and in the 40s, most likely a steam engine. Later on, definitely a diesel, but still a heck of a lot cheaper to send these out than a full train of cars and such, especially with your crews. Keep the crews down to 2 or 3 crew members rather than a whole crew in a locomotive and in your cars. So the RDCs actually came in a bunch of different series. We have an RDC-1 right here, just passengers only, and that could hold up to 90 passengers right there. We have an RDC-2, can hold up to 70 passengers with a baggage section, which is what we have right here. There's the baggage loft right there. And then we have an RDC-3 with 48 passengers, and then we have an RDC-4 with a baggage section, then an RDC-9, it can hold 94 passengers. So I don't know where they shoved those extra 4 passengers, maybe on the roof or something, but we got all 94 aboard and ready to roll. Some stats about the RDCs. So RDCs 1, 2, 3, and 9 are 85 feet long, with an RDC-4 of 73 feet long, with a width of 10 foot 3/8 inches wide and a height of 14 feet and 7 inches. Maximum speed 85. These are hydrostatic torque converted transmissions, which is pretty interesting, with a max horsepower of 300. Alright guys, so I got really curious. I wanted to see if MTH knocked it out of the park again with numbering their locomotives correctly, and they did. This is amazing. So, looked up on the New York Central RDC roster and found out that the New York Central had 16 RDC-1s. So, their numbers were from M451 to M465. And guess what? We have M465 right here. So we got the last of the RDC-1 numberings on the tracks. And I wanted to see what this guy was right here. And this is actually an RDC-3. So they went from M497 to M499. And guess what? We have M497. So we had the first of the RDC-3 and the last of the RDC-1, which is pretty cool. They did have one RDC-2 numbered M480, which we do not have. Let's get you guys trackside. Let's get these beautiful RDCs rocking and rolling. Alright guys, so here is the RDC-1 of the set. This is the rear car. This is the non-powered unit. And you can see right there we have all this really cool safety striping, like zebra striping, with the red LEDs up top, with a headlight, with a horn. The body of this locomotive is all ABS, like heavy ABS plastic, very heavy. This locomotive from the frame and up is all plastic, but from the frame down is all metal, except the amenities here. This is all plastic detailing, but the trucks are full die-cast metal trucks and pilots. This thing is very, very heavy. Now I just love the detail in there. You have all these little chairs. I guess it can hold up to 90 people, as we talked about earlier, and just a really cool little piece. Now if we get our sister unit fired up here, we'll get her out on track too. So here is the RDC-3 numbered M497. We have the safety striping up front. Love the zebra striping, looks so cool. And we also have die-cast trucks on each side. This is all plastic as before, but from the frame and down it's mostly all metal. This thing has a ton of weight. It said like 6 pounds of weight on the box. Very, very cool. We also have all this beautifully crafted ABS plastic. It's very sturdy. It feels very, well constructed. It's not going to break on you. All metal parts in here, all metal gears, no plastic gears, any of that. Also has brass flywheels. And this locomotive has also been upgraded with a BCR, so I don't have to use a battery. So it runs pretty well. I like the brake sounds that it has, the horn. The bell's okay, but I think the horn supersedes the bell. Now, one really cool thing about this set, it is a Rail King. So people say, oh, it's 027. I'm going to actually call these like 031, if you can call it that.
The minimum recommended curve is 0.31, but these are very chunky. And just to compare, here is a full-scale MTH Amtrak Northeast Corridor Premier car. So, just to compare in size, there's this car right here. And if you look at the Buddliners, I move these down, they're pretty close in like height and everything. So that's one thing I really do like about Rail King, is that when you progress on to full-scale pieces, you can still run your Rail King with your full scale. This looks fantastic.
All right, guys, so here's another size comparison. Here's a K-Line RDC, and then here's the Rail King RDC. Yeah, a little bit of a difference there. So, yeah, I love Rail King. They're great pieces. They mesh really well with some of my scale pieces in the collection. So anyways, guys, here we go for a run session. All aboard. Alright everyone, so that's going to conclude this video today on my newly acquired RDC set. RDC1, RDC3. These are just so cool from MTH Rail King, and they fit in so well in the town. Like the station, that's a Rail King station, my other outbuildings and such. It just looks right at home. And I do recommend looking up the history of the Bud Car Company, because the guy who built these was a genius. I mean, just so many cool things in the railroading world that they innovated to make things better and more appealing. It's just It's really cool rail history right there. But anyways, if you guys are new to the channel, always consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon for all your notifications. Giving the video one of these really helps. Love reading your guys' comments. But anyways, guys, until next time, happy railroading. We'll see you next time. See you guys.